everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind Podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 173. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Wednesday Motivation and Inspiration. And today, is it one day or day one? Because you get to decide that. This podcast is something that I see and hear a lot of entrepreneurs and business people talk about. Once again, I will ask you, is it day one for you, or are you starting one day? And there's a big difference between the two. And I'll start by saying one will get you results and the other one won't at all. Now, one day pretty much means I'll start soon, or I'll get to it, or I don't have time. The reality is you do have time. It's just you don't have the mental focus or drive to go after what you want. You don't have the consistency and discipline. Whether it's because you're unsure of what's to come, or you're afraid of what people will think, there are a myriad of reasons why you won't start, but that's for you to figure out on your own. Because so many of us will say, oh, one day I'm going to get to it and I'm going to start my project and I'm going to work on this. And you know what? One day I'm going to really get to when everything slows down. That just doesn't necessarily work in life. I've always said in previous podcasts that we always feel like we have to work arduously and relentlessly for hours a day, and that's not reality. Some days you'll have 30 minutes and other days you'll have 3 hours. That's just reality. Sometimes the gas tank's on E and we have nothing for one day out of the week, and that's okay. But we all have 168 hours a week. And give or take 35 to 40 of those will be allocated to your full-time job. So you eliminate that, right? And then sleep is about 6 to 8 hours, give or take. So let's just say you sleep 6 hours a night just to play it for a good purpose and reason. So that's 42. So that's about 82 hours that's gone out of 168. And the majority of us are working from home now, full-time, remotely. So no, you're not getting in your car, and you're not getting on trains and all that stuff, but let's just say you go to the office once a week. So that's not too bad as far as your transportation goes. And then for those who have children, gotta make sure that they're good. You know, you got a couple hours a day, you gotta make sure that they're good, waking them up in the morning, getting them ready for school, taking them to school, going over homework after school, making dinner, things of that nature. Okay, fine. Yeah, you got your TV shows to watch, but let's just say you wipe out the TV shows because you have DVR. Because it's my best friend these days, I'll tell you that. If I don't watch a TV show, it's on DVR. But let's just say once you eliminate that and you do working out and taking care of all the necessary things as far as errands and personal things for yourself, give or take, let's just say you got 20 hours a week. That's a good amount of time for you to do things. But when you say one day, it's because you want to binge watch TV shows, you want to goof around on social media and waste time, you want to do, all of these things that are not relevant to your goals. Sometimes we have to sacrifice, and sometimes we just don't want to sacrifice. That's just what it is. So some people have it harder than you and are getting it done. And some of us have it way too easy, but we're just lazy and we're unmotivated and we're uninspired. And there's no motivational speaker or entrepreneur that's really going to push you to really do the work. They can verbalize it however they want. The reality of it is that you have to want it more than anything else in the world. So when you say one day, is it one day? I don't know. You tell me. Now, day one. Day one pretty much means you're going after what your heart desires. And that's to succeed in what you're passionate about. You're going after your life purpose, whether that's to be at the top of corporate America, owning a business of your own, being a writer, a copywriter, electrician, engineer, whatever career that makes your blood flow and stimulates your mind and your brain. You're going after it until you achieve results. And to be on a day one mindset, there has to be a drive and determination there. And once you have that, next comes the dedication and discipline in all that you do. You have to want it every day, even when you're tired sometimes, and know that the results are going to, well, they're going to happen. And it's all in your mindset, because that's where it begins and ends. And when you say day one becomes day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and so on. And once you get into a flow of things, from what studies have shown, it takes about 90 days to get into something that you're consistent in, and you get a routine down, and then you go after it. I pre-record these podcasts. Why? Because I'm working on numerous projects. So these podcasts get recorded days ahead of time. I make sure that I allocate a certain time on a certain day, and I sit down in my walk-in closet and I shut off the world, and I make sure that I get to work, and I make sure that I have a good idea of what I'm going to talk about in my podcast, and I get to it. So every week you're getting pre-recorded podcasts ahead of time, because I'm working on my podcast website, I'm working on my own website, I'm planning things for the coming weeks, I'm budgeting myself on how I'm going to do certain things. And if you guys are wondering why there aren't ads on my podcast, guess what? I'm only talking for about 10 to 15 minutes. The last thing I want to do is have you guys listening to ads so I can make money. That's not reality for me. Now, if my podcast was an hour long, well, that's a different story. But for me, I do this podcast out of the kindness of my heart to share my journey. And if you guys choose to look into my ebooks and my paperbacks and my audiobooks and my clothing line, wonderful. I appreciate it. But I appreciate the listeners and you guys listening to my podcast. So for me, when day one happened, I started writing. And since that day one, which I would say was 7 years ago, as I'm recording this, it became a journey of mine. And I continually decided to grow and evolve. So when you say day one, just know that when you take that task on and you guys decide to really move forward with what you want out of your life, the results are going to come as time goes on. You've actually achieve the results that you wanted because you put in the work. But a lot of people don't think about it that way. For me, the more work I do, the more I'm getting closer to where I want to be in my life. And even when I get to kind of where I want to be in some ways, I'm not going to be satisfied because I always know that I can do more. And I guess that's just the motor in me. And I guess that's the competitive nature in me because I'm an athlete. And I've been on teams before, and, you know, I've been playing basketball for over 30 years of my life. So I guess that's the competitive juices in me. But I know how to be kind. I know how to kind of take a load off sometimes. But the point is that a day one mindset, that means you're set on success. And nothing's going to stop you. No distractions, family, friends, social media, anything like that. That consistency and discipline kicks in, and you go. So with that said, go be great. Be good. I'm done for today. Be good and go accomplish your goals.